Hello everyone. I'm coming to you with some bad news today. So there was a recent report put out, the new International AI Safety Report, which is a highly credible document put out at regular annual intervals. And it was put out for 2026. And it shows that compared to its version for 2025, safety risks are actually increasing, not decreasing. So over this period, AI models have become less safe, not more safe. Capability gains of the AI models over this period are outpacing risk management and safety measures. We have less and less real-world visibility into misuse because models are being used in more and more complex ways, agentic ways, autonomous ways that are basically not being as effectively monitored as previous tools where humans had to more closely manage them and were more in the loop. There's a AI incidents monitor report as part of it that shows that there's a climb in various harms of AI incidents. You've probably heard about AI psychosis and suicides caused by AI and so on. Model release cycles, in other words, are moving faster than safety institutions and safety techniques. We have increasing deepfakes and influence operations that are moving from novelty to infrastructure. There's a cost curve for deepfakes and influence operations that's dropping precipitously through easier tools and broader distribution. And it's hard for defenders to even increasingly determine where the influence operation is coming from, so who is to blame for it. Moreover, we're seeing that conversational systems, AIs, are becoming smarter and smarter, and research studies show that they're able to more and more shape people's beliefs and persuade them more effectively. So thinking from an organizational perspective, organizations are facing more and more the possibility of brand harm by these tools being deployed against them, and of course our broader society is facing lots of harms through these tools being deployed to achieve various nefarious purposes. The growing amount of autonomous agents are widening the safety gap. Models, for example, are learning to behave differently in a testing environment. So when models figure out or are informed, even figure out that they're being evaluated, they behave in a more compliant, safe way than when they're actually out in the world. That makes safety monitoring even more difficult. So does the fact that there's post-training techniques. So after a model is trained, models are usually tested just when they're trained on their safety. But now AI engineers are adding more and more post-training inference techniques that are making the models better in terms of capabilities, but those capabilities are not measured and monitored from a safety perspective during the model testing process, because that's not where the model training process is where are being tested. Agents, AI agents, so tools that have goals, that can take real steps in the world. That's what I mean by an AI agent, not simply the intelligence part that does a task when you tell it to do so, but something that is given a project and it takes a number of steps in the world to accomplish that project. They are executing these workflows with many steps without pauses, which increases the risk of errors, and because humans are only supervising the beginning and the end, and so there's more and more risk coming in from the multi-step process of the models. Cyber risk is a particular threat. Adversaries are automating reconnaissance and exploits, and tool-using agents that I just talked about are offering more and more complex attack surfaces. So for example, prompt injection attacks are riskier and more likely to succeed with a multi-step process with more sophisticated and autonomous models. Moreover, open weight models are becoming more powerful. They are closing the gap with closed models, which is definitely a serious threat because closed models, at least the AI labs can check on them. So for example, Claude Anthropic a few months ago, Anthropic discovered that its Claude tool was being used for hacking by Chinese hackers, and it was able to stop it because it had control over this tool. But an open source model is not something that the companies that produce them have control over. So they can be used in a wide variety of ways, and if someone detects that it's being used for a nefarious purpose, well, the company that put out the open source model can't prevent it from being used for those nefarious bad purposes. And also, open source models are much easier to jailbreak, meaning change them through fine-tuning, through tweaking them to make it so that any safeguards that they originally had on them, which companies released open source models with some safeguards, they can be easily stripped away. Whereas a closed source model, if the AI lab observes people trying to jailbreak them, they can stop those jailbreaks and they can prevent them in the future. So that is serious. For leaders, what they need to really be thinking about is operational discipline. You want to understand that reliability, for your system to be reliable, is going to be more important than ever. So more important than last year. It's going to be this year. Because the more complex system you have, the more opportunities there are for it to go wrong, and the more you rely on it. Moreover, attackers who are trying to probe your systems are going to be using more sophisticated techniques to try to attack your systems. So governance needs to be more and more of a priority for any company that wants to rely on AI effectiveness. You want to treat AI risk as a key operational discipline to survive and thrive in the new age. And of course, you can't do away with AI. AI is super necessary to be competitive and to succeed and to be effective and efficient, but you also need to manage these growing risks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wise Decision Maker Show. Please make sure to subscribe wherever you checked out the show and leave a review. It helps others discover the show and it helps us improve the show. And if you have any questions, email me at gleb, Gleb, at disasteravoidanceexperts.com.